Diana Maria Lopez Pinel was born on August 12, 1998, in Madrid, capital of Spain. She was the daughter of Diana Cristina Lopez Pinel Pinarello and Juan Carlos Quer, and had a sister named Valeria. The family was very well established financially, and apparently very close. However, in 2013, Diana's parents divorced. It was a traumatic separation that mainly affected the two daughters, who became very depressed and started to fight a lot with their mother, who was granted custody of them. Despite this, Juan Carlos has always been a very present father. On vacation, Diana, her mother and sister, used to travel to a small coastal town with about 10,000 inhabitants called A Pobra do Caraminhão. In 2016, as usual, they went to the region, and on August 21st, around 10 p.m. on a Sunday, Diana told her mother that she would go to a park called Jardins del Valle Inclán, where she would meet a group of friends for a celebration that night. It was the day of Carme dos Pincheiros, a feast in honor of the Virgin of Carmen. The party would take place near the cottage where the three were, but only Diana left that night. 4 hours later, she said goodbye to her friends, saying she was going home. Shortly after, she met an acquaintance on Paseo de Areal, near a pizzeria she used to go to. Everything indicates that this friend was the last person to see her that night. It was approximately 2:30 in the morning on Monday, August 22nd. After that, Diana just disappeared. According to the first information, despite her childhood problems due to the separation of her parents, Diana was now a young woman without emotional problems, stable and quite responsible. Her mother stated that her daughter did not have any kind of mental illness, and that it was the first time she had taken so long to come home. Around 8:30 a.m., her mother realized something was wrong, and came to believe that she had been taken by someone. As Diana's cell phone was off and out of the coverage, she decided to call the police to report her disappearance. The next day, Tuesday, when the police retraced the path Diana was supposed to take to her house, they found on the floor, near the amusement park, a black hairband that was very similar to the one the young woman wore the last time she was there. But beyond that, no other evidence was found, and none of Diana's friends provided any information that could help clear up the case. Immediately, relatives and acquaintances started putting up and distributing posters with the young woman's photo and personal information. Also on Tuesday, agents from the Civil Guard, local police, and civil protection began a search operation that would cover a much wider region. Diana was a young woman who was 1.75 meters tall and weighed 55 kilograms, with straight black hair and dark eyes. According to her mother, on the night she disappeared, she was wearing pink shorts, a t-shirt, white sweatshirt, and black sneakers. Her father, Juan Carlos, was in Madrid when he learned of the facts. He contacted the Ministry of the Interior to investigate the last calls from his daughter's cell phone and to know her last geographic location. It was discovered that before disappearing, Diana was chatting on WhatsApp with a friend from Madrid. In one part of the conversation, she wrote, "I'm getting scared." According to her, a man was following her and said, "Morena, come here." Perhaps that was the last moment in the young woman's life, because when her friend sent another message, Diana didn't reply back, despite the message having arrived. Unfortunately, the last stretch of boardwalk where Diana walked to her house didn't have security cameras. It was dimly lit, practically deserted place, where there were no residents but several empty industrial warehouses and an old dilapidated nightclub called Boomerang. From that place to the cottage where her mother and sister were, it would have taken between 10 to 15 minutes. And it was on this short path that Diana simply disappeared. As the searches were not yielding results, the girl's mother vented to the press saying, "All the search and dissemination machinery started in the region, and I don't understand how nothing has yet been found. If you may have any information that could contribute to the investigation, please contact the police. We are living in a very delicate situation. Any detail, even gossip, anything can help. Juan Carlos Square also said the following to a local newspaper. If you have any relevant information, no matter how small, tell the police. I ask that my daughter's photo be published in all possible places. Police need help and I beg for you that help. Knowing that Gianna would not get into a stranger's car without a good reason, two lines of investigation were pursued. Either Diana was kidnapped by someone she knew or was attacked by a maniac. Another possibility, pointed out by the young woman's mother, is that she was taken to a boat. The possibility that she had simply run away made no sense. Diana had left all her documents and belongings at home, left with only 20 euros and didn't even take her credit card. These details reinforce her family's claim that the girl's disappearance was not something deliberate, but that she had been taken by someone. Later, information emerged that the girl's clothes went with her the day she disappeared, were found in her suitcases that was in the cottage. With this, many believed that perhaps, before disappearing, Diana returned to the cottage and changed her clothes. However, the young woman's mother denied that the clothes she was wearing when she disappeared appeared in her suitcase at the cottage. Apparently, this information seemed more like a rumor. It makes no sense to think that Diana ran away of her own volition, at dawn, with no money, documents, credit cards, and no clothes. If the theory that she went home to change before disappearing was true, why didn't Diana take anything, not even her passport? The press reported that a few days before the young woman's disappearance, she had a big argument with her mother, and then went through an anxiety crisis so strong that she needed medical assistance. According to some sources, Valeria, the young woman's sister, was also taken to the hospital with the same symptoms. On Thursday, September 1st, the press reported that the titular judge of the Court of Investigation took custody of Valeria, who was 16 at the time, from her mother. The measure would have been taken preventively, as a result of discussions recorded in recent days, some of which took place in public places. Valeria's father took custody of her and the two left town. After that, something seemed to be happening within the family. On Wednesday, 31st, the parents did not appear to the media to report the details of the latest investigations as had been agreed. But according to the family's lawyers, both were devastated at the prospect of never seeing their daughter again, and that they had nothing further to report. A friend and ex-boyfriend of Diana Quer, who was in Madrid when she disappeared, said she had met a Moroccan boy with whom she had smoked hashish. According to him, it was common for the sisters to run away from home, especially Valeria, 16 years old. He also described that their family situation was difficult and they often fought with their mother. As soon as the information became public, some people began to question whether it was common for the sisters to run away. Why was their mother so alarmed when she saw Diana was not home at 8:30 a.m. and reported her missing immediately? Forensics recovered some of the young woman's personal belongings that were in the cottage, such as a toothbrush, a hairbrush, a computer, and her personal diary, as well as a series of controlled medications. Several people began to be investigated then, including the Moroccan with whom she already had a brief romance. The police had toured 30 kilometers of mountains, tracking forest trails, roads and lakes, but had no results. According to investigations, Diana's trail disappeared at 3 a.m., according to the location of her cell phone in an area near Tarragona, about 20 kilometers from her home. On Sunday, September 11, the newspaper El Mundo published an article that revealed that Diana Quer was not a young woman without problems as her mother had said before. In April of that year, she had left home and only returned 3 days later, without her mother filing any complaints with the authorities. When Diana ran away, she used to turn off her cell phone to worry her mother on purpose. In addition, some friends report that she could not stand her own mother and wanted to live with her father. The newspaper also published some letters exchanged between the sisters that year, where it is possible to see that the mental situation of the two was not going well at all. Another detail is that Valeria would have been hospitalized 3 times that year alone, where she underwent stomach lavage due to having ingested an exaggerated amount of controlled medication. 72 days after Diana's disappearance, the mystery remained. So far, none of the theories exposed have been proven. Time passed, but the only thing the police found, besides a hair elastic that could have been hers, was her cell phone, which was next to a river, near a bridge. According to sources close to the investigation, Juan Carlos confirmed that it was his daughter's cell phone, although nothing more was revealed. In more than 3 months of investigation, the police didn't find anything relevant that could lead them to the missing girl. With no progress, the public prosecutor's office suggested that Diana's parents be extensively investigated, particularly in relation to the continued mistreatment of their daughter Valeria. Police later confirmed that Diana did not stop by her house or change her clothes before disappearance. Several witnesses said they saw Diana arrive in the port in a car, accompanied by at least 3 men, from which she left and walked to get into another car, according to them, voluntarily. Then the car started and drove away from the port, but none of what was really proven. 2 months after the disappearance, Diana Square's Facebook profile would have come online. The young woman's friends alerted the police and took prints to prove it. In contact with the social network, Facebook said that Diana had activated the option to remember password to facilitate her access without having to enter the password each time. This could indicate that she was trying to log into her account because she forgot her password, but also that someone else who knew the login was trying to access her profile. The cell phone would be the first physical evidence of the investigation and was pointed out as the key piece of the case. Investigators say it was thrown from a bridge near the pier of Tarragona in Riancho or in its surroundings. It was discovered that the cell phone was last accessed around 3 a.m. on that day, as I have already mentioned. With all the clues on the table, 2 possibilities remained open, each with a plethora of theories that didn't lead to any definitive conclusions. On November 10, 2016, the driver of the vehicle in which Diana Queer was allegedly seen was last identified. He would be a man who had already been arrested for trafficking, but the secrecy of this information was kept by the police for a long time, so as not to interfere with investigations. The man's wife later said that he was with her all night, so he was ruled out as a suspect. For almost 500 days, the case was short, but the media made Diana's family life a real circus. Numerous accusations emerged, many of them unfounded, and theories began to spread and completely derail investigations. On December 25, 2017, around 10 p.m., a young woman who was walking down the street using her cell phone reported that a strange man approached her and demanded that she hand over the device, threatening her with a wide weapon. She started screaming for help, and a couple who were passing across the street rushed to help her. As they approached, the man was trying to pull the young woman into his car. Then the man gave up and left at high speed with his car. The young woman, very shaken, went to the police station to file a complaint about the incident. When she took the composite of her attacker, the police recognized him right away. He was an old acquaintance of the authorities. And to further confirm the identity of the man, the couple who rescued the young woman had noted the license plate of his vehicle. The next day, around 10 a.m., the civil guard arrested 41-year-old Jose Enrique Abingay, known as El Chicle. He already had a conviction for forcing relations with his wife's twin sister in 2007 and was involved in the transport of narcotics. At the time, more than 70 kilos were seized with him. To everyone's surprise, he was the driver who had been arrested on November 10, 2016 in the Diana Queer case. But at the time, he was discarded as his wife said she was with him the entire night. As the young woman who had been attacked was very similar to Diana, the police decided to take this man and his wife for clarification. At the police station, an investigator asked the woman about the night Diana disappeared, and she assumed that she had lied and that she was not with her husband as she said. She also said that she went to sleep around 10 p.m. and that he came home at 4 a.m. When Jose Enrique was confronted by the police with this new information provided by his wife, he resolved to confess the crime. However, in his first version, he said that it was all an accident and that he ran over Diana that dawn because he was distracted listening to music in the car, and as he already had a ticket with the police, he was afraid of being arrested again and decided to get rid of the body. but in his second deposition, he finally admitted that he kidnapped and took the young woman's life. According to him, he went out that night to steal gasoline from trucks that used to be parked on the street, and as he was walking towards his car, Diana saw him with 2 gallons of gasoline. Afraid of being reported, he forced the young woman into his car. First, he tried to force intercourse on her, and then he squeezed her neck until she couldn't breathe anymore. On December 31st, 2017, Jose Enrique reenacted the crime with the police and showed where he discarded the young woman's body. Diana Quer was thrown down a well and in an old abandoned warehouse, about 15 kilometers from where she disappeared. Jose Enrique said that a few days later he went back to the warehouse to tie the body to the cement blocks so it wouldn't float, and he never went back there. In January 2018, Jose Enrique was tried and convicted of the crime of attempting kidnapping of a young woman whose name was not disclosed. On April 1st, 2019, he was finally tried and convicted in the Diana Quer case, receiving life in prison with parole after serving 30 years of his sentence. For many, the story of the criminal who only took the girl's life because she saw him stealing gasoline is nothing more than a great excuse. For these people, Jose Enrique went out that night already looking for a victim, and unfortunately, Diana crossed his path. He even tried to repeat his act with another young woman years later, and because of that, the police were able to get him, put the pieces together and solve the case. But it is likely that if he were not for that, this case would be unsolved for this day. Diana's family, despite of the pain of knowing that the young woman was no longer alive, at least felt a relief to know what actually had happened to her. Well folks, that's it for today. Thank you for watching until this far. Best wishes, and I see you next time.